Guten Tag, es ist Mittwoch, den 11.11. und wir sprechen heute über Kapitel 6a. Und in Kapitel 6a lernen wir viel über Obst und Gemüse, so Apfel, Kirsche, Bohnen und so weiter. Aber heute möchte ich über demonstrative pronouns sprechen. So let's talk grammar. This grammar section is not very big or complicated. We're going to be done and through chapter 6a fairly quickly. All right? So you're going to have to rely on just a couple of lessons to help you understand what we are talking about when it comes to demonstrative or demonstrative pronouns. Demonstrative pronouns refer to a person or thing that just mentioned that needs to be referenced in more detail. So in English, the demonstrative pronouns are this, that, these, and those. The most common demonstrative pronouns in German are forms of der, die, and das. We also have dieser and welcher and jeder. We just did a unit on that. But sometimes we can just say der, die, or das. The, again. You will notice that the forms are the same as the definite article. It's the same as what you'd see on a dare chart. There's one exception. Can you spot it? I'm looking at page 194, 194 in your book. Denen. The dative plural goes to denen instead of just den. Right? Otherwise, that's exactly what a dare chart would look like. So siehst du das Auto dort? Here's an example. Do you see the car there? Das möchte ich gern haben. You're replying with das möchte ich gern haben. Your friend said, siehst du das Auto? You don't need to say, ich sehe das Auto. Do you see the car? I see the car. You can just say in English, I see it. Yeah, or I see that car. How about the next one? Kennst du diese Leute? Ja, die kenne ich gut. So what you're doing by just saying die there is avoiding saying Leute again. Die is Leute. So, kennst du die Leute? Ja, die kenne ich gut. We do have to worry about the case and gender of that noun though, just like always. It's okay if you mess this up. It's usually not all that confusing, but it can make a difference, a big difference in writing. So we're going to do some practice with demonstrative pronouns. You should also, when you say them, you should emphasize them. Ja, die kenne ich gut. You give a little bit extra stress. So your examples here on page 195 ask you to think, sag, dass du die Leute nicht verstehen hast. Nein, den habe ich nicht verstanden. Die habe ich nicht verstanden. For this, we would say der. Instead of der Verkäufer, the salesperson, we would say den. Why would that be den and not der? Because ich, we're talking about ourselves. So the goal here is we're going to do some of these to help us remember case and reason and use our dare chart to pick the right one. Hopefully, at home learners, you have a mega chart or a dare chart handy. I might have to post one, or you could Google on just the internet a dare chart and find a version of this. There's one in your book back on 194. But yeah, this is going to be necessary for a quiz or a test. You may take it with one. So I want to show maybe a sheet we're going to use to introduce this. Hast du den gekannt? If we're asking like, did you know someone? Hast du den gekannt? Hast du den Jungen gekannt? Ja. Ich habe von denen nichts gehört. What it's asking you to do is replace the demonstrative pronoun with something that makes sense. All right, so for this first one, ich habe von denen nichts gehört. And what we're now thinking about is, what could denen be? Yeah? What could denen be? If we look at what we just were introduced to, it's got to be plural, right? Because it's that weird denen one. Ich habe von denen nichts gehört. And we might say instead, ich habe von den Jungs, didn't hear from the boys. Ich habe von den Eltern nichts gehört. It's still dative here. If I want to get rid of the word Eltern, then I'm saying ich habe von denen nichts gehört. What if we look at the next one? Warum hast du dir nicht geholfen? Warum hast du dir nicht geholfen? This der is going to be dative. Why? Because it's getting or receiving help. Getting or receiving help. Helfen's a dative verb. So warum hast du dir nicht geholfen? Replace the demonstrated pronoun with appropriate articles or possessive adjectives and nouns. You might ask, warum hast du deiner Oma nicht geholfen? What you're doing with a demonstrated pronoun is getting rid of the person, getting rid of the person or thing, and just replacing it with der. Can I ask this on its own? Hast du den schon gebacken? Hast du den schon gebacken? I don't know what den is without a conversation that introduces it. So I would have to say this first. I would have to say, hast du den Kuchen? Hast du den Kuchen schon gebacken? Yeah, hast du den Kuchen schon gebacken? Then if somebody said that, then I could say like, ja, den habe ich schon gebacken. Den habe ich schon gebacken. I already baked that. Könnt ihr die verstehen? I can't ask that without knowing what die is. So I could ask something like, könnt ihr die Lehrerin verstehen? Could you understand the teacher? Ja, die könnte ich verstehen. Die könnte ich verstehen. That one I could understand. Okay, we'll come back to this. I don't expect you to get it right away today, but I'm trying to keep these under 10 minutes. So this is an introduction to demonstrative pronouns. Check out, you guys, check out page 194. Read through that, and maybe even try some of the online textbook examples, because we are going to discuss those without doing them in too big a detail in in-person learning. Okay? Email me any questions. Talk to me on Zoom about it. Tschüss.